Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Phumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. SABC Network. Now that's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za. On email. This week our Twitter poll is asking you about those education AI apps, as a lot of university students will now be going back to writing essays on paper overseas. We're asking if you think this is right here in South Africa. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Firstly, here's what's coming up in this particular episode. We chat about electricity and alternatives to Eskom. We have details on some initiatives that are helping educate young people in tech skills. And in our conversation, we chat about technology and Brics. A lot of people have been struggling keeping their businesses on, and some people are actually working from home. So this is a struggle there too. So we're hearing that a lot of individuals are now importing their solar panels, but there are legalities on this. And now the government has said that there can be rebates if you are feeding into the grid, if we have alternatives to what Eskom normally gives us. South Africa is Africa's most industrialized nation, the only African country in the G20 group of countries and the only African country in the Brics group of countries. But South Africa has struggled to keep the lights on, which has led to a solar power boom. If you look at this data by Mont Mason Clare, you will see a sharp rise of imports of solar panels in Q1 of 2023.
Solar can be intermittent, the energy from there. You might have a rainy day or just bad weather in general, which could cause you run out of battery power. If you want to go completely off the grid for extended periods of time, it is advisable to look at having a secondary power source at your house, like a diesel generator that can supplement if you have days of bad weather.
But January was a month of high load shedding in South Africa. It was also the month that President Cyril Ramaphosa wrote in his newsletter that those who feed excess power into the grid would get some incentive for it. This started happening in Cape Town. Johannesburg said the same would be happening in South Africa's economic hub.
What that means is you really use solar, renewable energy and lithium batteries to help people get off the grid. I think everybody needs a bit of optimism in South Africa at the moment, and power is one of those challenges we're living with every day.
With increased power outages and the increased need for backup systems, there are installers that want to be doing things right.
If you have a minimum of 6 panels, 1 battery, you can get, for a small house, you can get a good backup system that can cushion you for a load shedding, that can cushion even more than load shedding. Even if there's a planned outage or unplanned outage, a power failure, so to speak, you can still be cushioned with regard to your lighting, essential plugs. You can watch TV, you can be able to have lighting, do most of the essential stuff so that you don't feel that there is no electricity supply.
Other alternatives in South Africa are inverters.
The Huawei Power M is a mainstream product. It's a reliable, high-quality backup power solution. It's extremely versatile and flexible for a wide variety of applications. The solar panels are optional, so it can be used as a power backup. The solar panels can be added in the future. You can add batteries and increase the size in the future as well. So as your needs grow over time, you can expand your solar system as well.
Research by Morgan Stanley suggests that the private sector will have more electricity generation output than Eskom by the year 2025. AWS, or Amazon Web Services, has come to South Africa in very many ways, and they say that they're also trying to upskill young people in those new tech skills that we know we have a shortage of here in South Africa.
Skills requirements and skills development are amongst the factors that will significantly shape Africa for the 4IR. The adoption of these skills has become pertinent to remain competitive in Africa's labor market.
If I look at what our customers and partners are saying to us, they desperately need to hire and reskill their organizations for digital skills, because the technology and the jobs of the future are all going to be driven from technology. In fact, 280 million jobs are going to be created by 2027. And we today do not have any amount of potential yet to fill those kind of jobs, right? Plus, I'm a firm believer that for diversity and inclusion, you really need to break down every single barrier available and provide education to everyone and level the playing field.
Globally, communities have responded to this labor need by creating a tech-orientated formal and informal educational ecosystem. While Africa is still trying to fully implement this, certain organizations have taken charge to help improve Industry 4IR skills in Africa.
Today, people either don't have computers at home, they can't afford the training, they don't have the opportunity to travel to take the training, they don't have connectivity at home. So even though there's a lot available, this type of training that we're talking about here gives them all of those opportunities. So it's really about everyone, everywhere, free-for-all education in digital skills to bring them into this incredible economy and drive prosperity.
As part of its commitment to supplying IT training opportunities on the continent, US-based multinational cloud computing giant Amazon Web Services launched a skills development center.
So this skills center has two really important aspects about it. By the way, it's 80 square meters, it's right near the convention center, so it's easy to get to, and you can walk in. It's open to those who are between the ages of 18 and 36. You can walk in and explore what we call the cloud discovery space. These are exhibits that are interactive, and it actually shows you how cloud is changing your life. You know, whether it's gaming, machine learning, cybersecurity, space, of course, really important, everything to do with sustainability, water positivity, all that you can experience by these interactive exhibits. And then you can register online to take classes. And we have actually teachers here that will give you the classes in person. You can also do them virtually if you prefer, which is nice, so we open it up to those who want to do it virtually. And then you can map your learning journey towards getting an AWS certification.
AWS partnered with various organizations. They say through the partnership, they will deliver training that enables cloud fluency for unemployed individuals to leverage the power of the cloud.
So I'm really excited about this launch of a skills center. The first time that Amazon Web Services have launched a skills center outside of the USA, and so that's really exciting, and it's for Africa, Europe and the Middle East, and it's based right here in Cape Town. I think it fits in with the ecosystem of Silicon Cape and the tech and the kind of environment that's developing here. But of course, Amazon Web Services were part of that development from 2004. They were developing cloud computing right here in Cape Town that actually runs their whole system around the world. So I think it's really exciting that they're doing this. It's creating opportunities for 18 to 35, 36-year-olds where it's free for a course into various aspects of the future. And for me, that's super exciting.
The center will be a walk-in facility offering free cloud computing skills training to everyone across all knowledge levels.
So it's an interactive environment where people can come in and learn about robotics and IoT and anything really that's related to the cloud. But we also offer free training to anyone that comes in to the center. We offer classes Tuesdays through Friday, so we'd like to invite everybody in.
With the opening of the data center, AWS says it has established its first infrastructure area in Africa.
All right, it is Women's Month, and we're continuing to find those businesses that are in technology and are also being run by women.
I have a background in FMCG, and having worked within FMCG, I noticed that there was a transition into more technically minded operators. So what you found is the operators that we had pre the automated machinery that were instituted in factories around the country or all over the world, you found that they were now no longer able to meet the minimum educational requirements that were needed in order to operate this high-speed machinery. And most of them, when I spoke to them, they said they never did mathematics because it's not for everybody. There is that stigma around it, and it's not easy. So I wanted to change that narrative for my son by creating a mathematics-based game that would make it easier for him to practice and learn mathematics. So the New Maths Kids app is an Android-based app. It is not on the Google Play Store. We offer it directly to the schools. So on our own devices, which are Android-based, the school then utilizes that in order for the learner to use to learn mathematics. The app is currently at a subscription cost of 60 rands per learner per month that the school pays to us for the services that is offered. The beautiful thing about the app is that it does not need a data connection in order for the learner to use it, but it is still collecting cookies or information data that goes into our progress report, which then goes into us being able to advise teachers to say, these are the learners that are struggling with these sections of the curriculum. Most importantly, it is aligned to the CAPS curriculum. Our solution is designed for kids from as young as 3 years up until the age of 9 years. So the beautiful thing about the app is that it is personalized for each user. So based on how well you answer, the questions that you get as Ulebu versus what Lungi gets are different because of how Lungi has been answering. So if I'm doing very well on grade R level type of questions, it starts pulling from grade 1, it starts pulling from grade 2 and 3 and so forth. The idea is that we didn't want the game to be too easy so the child gets bored because it's too easy, or make it too hard that the child feels less confident about mathematics, thereby going back to that same stigma that mathematics is not for everybody. If you can imagine in an ECD class in a township such as Katlehong, where different languages are spoken, where kids go into ECD at different ages. So some of the kids are coming in only when they're 6 years old for the grade R level. Others have been there since they were 2 years old. There's different languages spoken. The teacher speaks Xhosa, the kids speak Tswana, Tsonga, whatever other languages around the community. So there's already that barrier for the teacher to be able to provide that learning. We say to the teachers, we are coming through to provide you with a solution that encompasses everybody. The kids, all they're doing is playing a game. They don't feel like they're in class, they are having fun, they're getting access to a tablet, and from there, we are able to then provide you with an unbiased view of the learner's mind. I'd also like to add, apart from the New Maths Kids app, we do have the culinary coding. So culinary coding, we do it in two ways. We do workshops, we run workshops across the country whereby we teach kids introduction into cooking, arts, robotics, and coding. The reason why we do cooking, for us, cooking is a science. You learn temperature, you learn temperature control, you learn how to measure things. So for a child as young as 6 years old, that's the easiest way to say, do not be intimidated when you have to measure things. Do not be intimidated around temperature. We've got a qualified chef that does the cooking side of things, and then we then introduce them, what is coding, what is robotics, how then do you apply this, how do you then turn this thing around of always seeing problems around you and then seeing them as opportunities, because we want to create another set of innovators.
It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat about Brics and technology. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Now, South Africa's Science Minister, Blade Nzimande, has said that the country will be assisting the rest of the continent to beef up their science research. And also, South Africa is part of the Brics group of countries: Brazil, Russia, India, and South Africa, with China as well. Now, to talk to us more about technology, science, and Brics is Themba Ndubane, who is head of Zinde Consortium. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Themba. Maybe if you can start by explaining to us how important technology is to Brics.
Technology is very important because the Brics on its own was actually formed to try and target countries that are emerging markets. And if you look at the economic structure of China, Brazil, and India, they've been growing very fast in the past 10 years. In fact, China was the country that has been growing the fastest in the past 30 years, although it has started to slow down, but obviously there are other factors that are affecting it. But while China is slowing down, India has been picking up very much. And actually, a lot of technological powerhouses are actually housed in India, and most of their CEOs are actually from India. So you can see that there's this synergy from these BRICS countries when it comes to their technological developments and advancements. So I feel that BRICS will play a major role when it comes to improving the technological outlook of the countries that are involved in it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing so many countries that are queuing up to try and sign up for BRICS.
Now, if tech is part of the Joburg discussions, what would you like to see being discussed in this conversation?
One of the things that I would like to see being discussed is of utmost importance on the education side. How do we transform the education in such a way that it makes technology become very attractive to young people, first of all, so that we can be able to start seeing these great minds doing great things from an early age. That's the only way that we can be able to nurture this innovation and make sure that we then grow from there. But over and above that, I would like to see discussions circling around how can we use technology to alleviate poverty and to create more employment. China on their own, recently they even went as far as saying that they're not going to be publishing stats of unemployment.
Does South Africa have anything to offer here, Teka?
Well, South Africa is pregnant with promise. We have so much potential, it's not funny. We have a lot of technology that is not yet tested because it hasn't yet gotten the kind of encouragement that it needs for us to see results from it. Of late, we have found a lot of engineers and technicians on the IT side actually leaving the country because of the kind of skills that they possess. So you can tell that South Africa has got so much potential. The only problem is that I think the political policy does not really allow for us to see and nurture this potential to the point that it starts becoming an active mix in the economic structure. And I think maybe that's where things just need to be tweaked a bit, in a sense that we need to encourage people a bit more to run their own businesses and to be courageous enough, to take the risk of coming up with new products, which actually the ideas are there, but they're not being implemented. So we have got so much potential. And I think that's the reason why we became a very interesting partner to form part of BRICS. There was so much potential in the past, and the growth rate was actually promising at that time. We've started to slow down, and that is affecting our partnership, or rather our position in BRICS. And we actually might be overtaken by other new members that might join BRICS. So I think it will be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next few months, especially with the elections coming up. We'll see whether, if this is going to be a coalition government, what impact it will have on stimulating growth and technology as well.
Do you think the West should worry about the tech development that could come out of this?
France has got a lot of their own problems. I don't understand why they even want to be part of BRICS, even if it's just to come and observe. But to answer the question, there's a lot of fear around what this BRICS conference will achieve this time around. Because, we can see that the Western Bloc is actually somehow struggling at the moment. And obviously, if a new contender comes into the picture and has got something better to offer, it then obviously becomes a serious threat to the Western Bloc and their allies. So, but at the same time, it's also, I think, a bit unfair to expect that just after this BRICS summit, we will see so much change that it will worry everyone around the world. Obviously, there's a talk around the BRICS currency. There's a talk around expanding the BRICS bank. There's talk around changing some trade laws and regulations so that it favors the BRICS nations. But we all know that at the end of the day, each and every country in the BRICS bloc has got their own allies, which sometimes are not actually the same allies with other partner countries that are in the BRICS formation. So I think it's a bit premature to predict. What we can be sure of is that after this BRICS summit, the world might start to see things a bit different. And that might actually work to the advantage of South Africa, because South Africa is trying to grow. South Africa is trying to get out of this loop that it has been since COVID. You know, we slightly managed to duck recession that was supposed to be a technical recession, but you know, we still have a bit long way to go. And with this kind of excitement, we actually might see a lot of countries starting to pay attention to South Africa, which might actually work for South Africa. But I think when it comes to BRICS as the bloc, I think we still have a bit of a long way to go.
All right, so Themba Ndubane, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Themba Ndubane heads up Zinde Consortium. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Stay with us. SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za. And email. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the tech space.
WorldCoin will expand its operations to sign up more users globally and aims to allow other organizations to use its iris scanning and identity verifying technology.
So when we were looking at that, we kind of realized, okay, let's see, maybe the fingerprint might be a way. But when we kind of started looking at the scale that we want to reach, the fingerprint just doesn't have enough entropy or information to distinguish one human from 1 billion humans, because there's a point where it starts getting into false positives. So when we were looking at the different biometrics that we could use, the iris was the only one that was actually the most reliable and resilient for the scale that we wanted to reach, because the iris has enough entropy to distinguish every single human from each other.
In sign-up sites around the world, people have been getting their faces scanned by a shiny spherical orb, shrugging off privacy campaigners' concerns that the biometric data could be misused. WorldCoin says 2.2 million have signed up, mostly during a trial period over the last 2 years. Data watchdogs in Britain, France, and Germany have said they are looking into the project. And now in Italy. The country's culture minister has talked to Tesla boss Elon Musk about organizing an ancient Rome-themed charity event after the US entrepreneur said his planned fight with Meta's Mark Zuckerberg would have such a backdrop. However, adding to the uncertainty around the potential clash of the tech giants, the minister said the event would not be held in the Italian capital and did not specify what form it would take or when it would be staged. Musk and Zuckerberg have been egging each other into a mixed martial arts cage match since June. Off we go to Singapore. AI research participant Lee Ruilin is excited to jump into the MRI machine for his brain scans, which will allow a computer to read his thoughts and recreate the visuals he's looking at.
Because for me, firstly, this brain decoding, like using brain signals to generate the natural modalities, is very interesting and exciting work. So I'm also interested in what happened in my brain and what my brain can output and what I'm thinking. So I try to participate and to see what really happened on my brain.
So the participant is presented with a series of images. Each lasts for 9 seconds with 9 seconds break in between. And then now you can see this is the functional magnetic resonance imaging data.
The mind-reading AI called MindViz then associates the brain scans with the images and creates an individual AI model for each participant. According to one of the lead researchers on the study and PhD student, Xiaojin King from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. However, unlike the stuff of science fiction movies, their AI, which is modeled to individual participants, is not able to mind read the general public yet.
So a lot of students overseas have been found that they use AI in order for them to do their essays and other assignments. This is becoming a problem here in South Africa as well. What they've done overseas is to now ask students to start writing everything on paper and not to use computers when they're doing certain assignments. Do you think this should be done in South Africa too? That's our to the poll this week.